I guess switching gears back out to LA, any fun memories, people that you've got to work with, people that you
Well, yeah, I mean,
love to
LA
meet or
is
something?
like, um, yeah, I met a lot. I'm glad I went. I mean, I still have business there. I still go back and forth, obviously. But yeah, I'm glad I grew up here and had my upbringing here and was raised the way I was raised here because it helped me survive LA. Because LA is I have a friend in LA. He was a former gangbanger. He was in prison for selling drugs, right? But I became friendly with him because I was writing a script about the drug trafficking in LA. And he's reformed. Now he helps out the cops with the youth and all that. So I was interviewing him, and we were talking about growing up. He grew up in a place called Coquina, which is really, really like gang central in the valley, in San Fernando Valley in LA. And I was talking about being 12 and 13. I was building a tree house, in the backyard with an elevator. I constructed this elevator for manually. You had to pull with the rope. And he was telling me he was 12 and 13. He was selling drugs on his grandma's corner. So I'm thinking, it is so interesting to me how where you live and how you grow up can be so different, in the same country. I mean, think about it, the small town to the big city. And I knew there was a difference, but until I was talking to him, I'm like, man, this is some interesting stuff. So it's fascinating to me, but I'm so grateful that I did grow up here. It's in the same place. But I'm very fortunate to meet celebrities. I mean, have, I'm at lunch with Sidney Poitier, or, Tina Sinatra left me a voicemail on my phone, or, Sandra Bullock works out of my gym, and she and I would joke. I was waiting for somebody at this private gym where I worked out, and they had a spinning class. So they had all these different shoes, different size shoes for the spinning class up on the wall. And I didn't know it was her. This woman comes up and she says, "Excuse me," she goes, "Do you know anything about spinning shoes? I'm trying to figure out what size I would wear." And I said, I didn't look at her. I just looked at her feet as a joke. And I said, "Oh, probably the biggest ones, haha." And she goes, "Oh, thanks a lot." And I turn around, it's Sandra Bullock. I said, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "I'm sorry." She goes, "No, it's funny." She's like, "You're funny, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty funny." So, so she would work out there with a lady I knew who was her trainer. And so whenever she'd come to the gym, we would have that brother sister yelling across the gym, like trying to get each other thing. And then like 3 years later, 2 years later, she was doing Miss Congeniality 2. And I was still acting then. So, um, and she knew I was an actor, but I didn't like hound her. You didn't do that. We just had a, friendship and friendly relationship in the gym. So 2 years later, I get a call from an agent. "Hey, you got an audition for Miss Congeniality 2. I'm like, "What?" "Yeah." I said, "How'd that happen?" Because she goes, "I don't know. I guess you're going right to the director, which means somebody important has called for you." So she called and said, "See this guy." I was way too young for the part, but it was still nice that she remembered me after. I had a friend, uh, he was a personal trainer, and I had a personal training business for a while in LA as well. And one of his clients was Michael Bay, the big director, and they were filming that movie Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett. Okay, and there's a scene where the bombing has happened, and they have like 1,000 extras in boats. They're rowing, and they're trying to get away from the ships. And Michael Bay, my friend's name was Rufus, and Rufus was not really an actor, but he wanted to be. So Michael Bay, they're ready to shoot, and they have there's like 200 or 300 crew members. This is a huge production, like $150 million film, and action. And everybody's rowing, and the actors are doing their things, the main characters and everything. The special effects, there's bombs going off, and Rufus isn't rowing. He's sitting there looking. He's all like mesmerized by everything. And Michael Blake gets over his megaphone, "Rufus, row the damn boat!" So they had to stop and go back. And it cost them that was like $100,000 in that like 15 seconds because they had to go back and reset everything. Anyway, that was that start.
You was talking about the PR, the show babes.
Oh, Caesar Romero? In there? Okay.
Dolly Parton.
Okay. I'll do that little section. Okay. So yeah, so I was let's see, I was a PA production assistant on a comedy when Fox just first started having shows, like Married with Children, The Simpsons, I think pretty much all they had, and they had this one called Babes. It was three sisters who were overweight, right? They were big sisters, babes. Anyway, so one of the guest stars was Cesar Romero. So I knew he was somebody, and I'm like, oh, I know he was the Joker in Batman, but I know he had a career before that. So I got a Polaroid with him. And one of the other duties we had to do was back in the day, before the internet, we had to wait for the writers to finish the scripts at night. And there were three of us, and we would package the scripts, we'd get them printed up, put them in an envelope, and we each had to deliver to whoever the main actors were, and then the guest stars, and the producers, and the director. So one night, I had the delivery to Dolly Parton, and she was on Sunset. She had a condo when she was out here. And she came to the door. It was a red door. I remember it was a red door. And had a gold knocker, knock, 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 right off Sunset Boulevard, just right on the edge of West Hollywood and Beverly Hills, right before you get to Beverly Hills, where all these condos are. And she comes to the door and I'm like, here you go, ma'am. She goes, thank you, hon, and smiled. And she had her bathrobe on and she had her wig on and everything. Yeah, that was fun.